What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. I know, well, number one, I've talked about this when it first got announced, right? I think I'm late to the party in regards to the graphics kind of debate that was going on, but I wanted to throw my hat out there because I've talked about what I think we need to be pushing in the games industry in the next little while, and the talk about graphics versus gameplay versus creativity and things like that. I think it's an interesting topic. So I know I'm a little late, but I wanted to kind of go over what happened with this game and to cut it short, right, or to kind of get right to it. So the game was revealed. And I think it is flat out stunning, okay? Like what they're doing, it looks like a movie. Whether that really becomes the game, I'm still somewhat skeptical. I know Amy Hennig, and she is somebody that I very much trust. She's a freaking legend. I think she's going to crush this, okay? I want to just say that out loud. But she did come out and say, like, there's no curtain and smoke and whatnot. Like, this is from the game. They're cutscenes, but this is from the game, right? So it's like, all right, for now, I guess, like, I want to trust you. You are the creator of one of my favorite, if not my favorite franchise of all time, in Uncharted. Again, she has the most respect for me that I could possibly give to a video game creator, okay? But at the same time, what you had, I guess, on the opposite side of things, right? You had the initial, oh my God, like this is just a movie, right? That's Kari Payton just like acting on like a green screen behind. That's just him. And then you saw an interesting, I'd say, shift online to people saying, not excited at all. It was actually almost a complete polar opposite, right? Now, whether it was people kind of jumping on it for clout or maybe it was genuine, and I think some of it was actually genuine, but you did have people immediately after say, I don't trust a single thing, like I need to see gameplay, that's what's the most important, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I don't entirely disagree. I stand on, I do support her, and I think it's going to be fine. I think if this was a game run by somebody else, I wouldn't give them as much benefit of the doubt. And so, I mean, maybe that's a me problem, right? I mean, that could be a biasness, and that's totally cool. But that's where I stand. If it wasn't Amy Hennig, I would have significantly less, maybe not interest, although maybe, but I would also have less confidence that she's telling the truth and that there is gameplay, and this is important, there is gameplay to back up what we saw. Because here's where I would actually agree with people, is the concept of why they were mad, upset, not interested, right, not into it. I actually would agree with the core of it being I'm also tired of seeing, and I love visuals. Okay, like eye candy kind of stuff, and some games can get you just with their visual style, but I completely understand what people that say, if you're not showing me gameplay and you're just going to show me these over-the-top visuals, we've been there and done that. We've seen games coming out 5 years from now that look incredible, and half the time, it actually goes backward. Like, by the time you get the game, sometimes you're not even getting the best-looking version of it. You may have seen a better version in a trailer a year ago, right? Sometimes it does get better. There's absolutely games where it constantly improves and gets better upon release. But there's some games where the best thing that you saw from it is maybe from like a gameplay thing they did at E3 a year ago, or they did at this conference or that conference. That has happened. So there is deception at play, and maybe not like aggressively, like where they're really trying to attack people. It might not be aggressive, but there is deception that happens all the time. But then also, again, gameplay, right? Gameplay is crucial, very, very important, and specifically for, like, can a story carry a game? Yeah, it can. It's hard, I would say, and I think it's probably easier for gameplay to carry a game than a story or characters, but it absolutely can go the other way. But when you have a lead up to a game, you can only do so much with visuals. So that's the part. I mean, I gotta be honest. Like, I don't violently disagree with people saying there's not a lot of interest. Like, I actually get that. I get sitting back and saying, looks cool. Like, looks visually stunning. I'm not putting any stock into that until I see gameplay. Now, as I said, in terms of trusting her, I feel like this is going to be very Uncharted-like, and Uncharted is one, if not, it's maybe my number one favorite. I kind of go back between that and Sly Cooper. So I trust kind of the formula of Uncharted, the environment shifting and using the engine that they're using and using just how well this game looks. And you imagine some sort of like on rails segment or whatever. You think of these iconic Uncharted moments, and if they have anything like that in 2024, in 2025, when this game comes out, you imagine the gameplay can't, and that's where I'm coming from, right? I think the gameplay will be able to back up the visuals. But if it wasn't her and like her studio or her I don't think she like owns it, right? But she kind of runs it. If it wasn't for that, I actually would be way more cautious about it, where it's like, the gameplay might not match the visuals, but I get it. I think gameplay is crucial. And like I said, I think specifically leading into a game, considering we've done this so many times, I mean, like it's a different type of game, right? But you just say had Blade, in fact, in the Marvel family, right? You had Blade be announced at the Game Awards. I also get that it's hard to get super excited for Blade when the game is 4 years away. So that's just a problem with the gaming industry, right? So you have that issue. You get a visual style for what Blade is going to look like. So you did accomplish that with the Game Awards, but you showed nothing. So again, for people that are maybe upset about that and saying, why do you even show it? And they list their reasons. It's hard to fight those reasons too much, because it's like, yeah, if you're not really, you can fool people. You can. And honestly, you have to say there's at least a chance that Rise of Hydra here could also be doing. Any game can do it. Any game can kind of sell a false thing to an individual looking at a trailer, looking at, gameplay or whatever, right? Leading into the game coming out. You can be sold like the wrong impression of it, and then the game might not be able to match that or whatever. That's a very real thing that happens all the time. And I think it really stems from people just being burned in the past, right? If we weren't burned as much as we have been, and not even just like say in the last year, but just kind of historically, right? If things weren't the way that they are, then maybe the reception would be different. Now, granted, this is not everybody. This is like one community that I've seen online, or I don't really like that many posts on Twitter, but like I feel like if I like one, like I get like 50 things from it. I don't know if I liked any actual tweet that talked about, hey, I'm still skeptical because you didn't show gameplay. I don't remember liking it, but I suddenly, like once I saw one, I saw like 100 of that. It just like never stopped. It's weird how Twitter works in that way, but it's not everybody, and I would actually say probably the majority don't think like that. But I'm here to say, like, why I wanted to make this video. I think like you all have the right to think what you want about it, right? And I don't think there's anything violently wrong with either side. If you're kind of sold on it just because of the visuals, you're sold. There's really nothing people can do. If you're sold on it with visuals and you think the gameplay can back it up, even though we didn't see it, you believe the gameplay can back, which is me. It's literally me. I think that's fine. If you are skeptical and saying, I'm not trusting it at all until I get more than something like overly cinematic, I think that's totally respectable. I think in order to further almost discuss this game, or kind of to get to the next level of discussion with this game, you're going to need gameplay. It can't be all on what we've seen from the trailer. It depends on the game, right? Like some games, say like Final Fantasy, because I'm like obsessed with Final Fantasy right now. For Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, when it's coming out, you can focus on theories all day, every day, right? Like different games have different kind of themes to it, or different focuses is probably a better word, right? For a game like this, will the story and characters be important? Yes, I would say maybe the character is more important than the story. That's just one kind of prediction. But then the gameplay really does have to back up a game like this. Not that gameplay doesn't have to back up, say, Final Fantasy, but you can talk for days or weeks leading into it coming out and just focus on that story stuff. You really can't do that for this game. So I really think there's kind of a block in the road that says, for further discussion on this game, you need to show gameplay. Number one, to just prove that it can back up the visuals that you're doing, because it could fall apart. And when you do those types of games, gameplay doesn't necessarily have to make or break it. Again, it depends, I think, on each game. But I feel like gameplay is very important to this game. I feel like because of her backing and what we know of how Uncharted felt, and if this feels similar, I think she's good. I mean, it's not going to like push the envelope. And I think that's what some people are also saying, right? Where it's like they're not too excited because it does feel just like things we've gotten before. And I understand that actually as well. Now, you can make that argument for probably 90%, maybe even more, are of AAA games. AAA games, you could say 90-95% of them are doing nothing original. So I would just caution that if you're going to use that for this game, that's totally cool, but I hope you have that same thought for pretty much every, AAA game that comes out. I don't think every game, by the way, needs to like push it. I think there can be games that are like samey, but you do need games to push it. Like you do need that innovation, and I've talked about, that kind of stuff before. Visuals are not everything. And I do, I guess, understand maybe like an off-putting feel when you lead with the visual style of which factually is what they've done. They did the trailer, so I get maybe factually it's not what they've done. But the first time they like really reveal it, right, and they go more in depth, it is showing off the visuals. It's not showing off anything new in the gameplay. It's not showing off a new kind of story. Like, think of Judas with Ken Levine, right? Like, it's doing something different. Maybe not in its gameplay, actually almost the reverse, right? Like, the story and how that's crafted is different than you've ever seen before. The gameplay is more samey. For this, they're leading with visuals, implying that that is going to be the thing that pushes it, and other things will not. That's not the worst thing of all time, but I would get people that would say, I'm not into that. I'm into a game that wants to push other things, and if visuals is the one and only thing you're pushing and nothing else is and everything else is the same, they're not interested as much. I'm very much understanding of that situation. So this game, it does have a lot to prove. Trust of Amy Hennig only goes so far, and it depends on the person. Some people would have zero trust. Some people would have a lot of trust, say like me, but it does only take you so far. They do need to focus on different elements of this game, and they do need to show, and it's coming out next year. They've got time. I'm not saying they have to do it in the next 2 weeks or they're screwed, right? They got time, but I do wonder where it's going to go and where the focus is, because if the focus continues to just be on visuals, I actually would get more and more annoyed or all right, but I want to see the other stuff, right? I actually would start to say that the longer it goes. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.